Right, we're back again. I guess you could call it part two, couldn't you?
Yes.
Right. We were just discussing really off air what we should talk about actually, because there's some interesting news, and there's some sort of bad news really for the airgun industry, which I think is something that we need to mention, and that's like price increases. Mm-hmm. I don't know whether anybody knows, but there's been air arms were distributed by. In fact, we talked about it, haven't we?
We did. We covered it. Moved from Rothery's to Deben Industries.
Yeah, and there was a bit of criticism. A lot of criticism, to be honest with you, because at that exact moment in time, Deben brought out a new price list with an increase of about 8 or 10%. And that's a lot of money. It's a hell of a lot of money, especially when you've got an Air Arms S410 costing sort of £700, and all of a sudden 10% is another £70.
Yeah.
And I thought that was like the end of the bad news, but we've had some more bad news last week, which is Virac, the whole cartridge company who import Virac, have just put their prices up. And they're going up 10% as well. And I just, I'm quite concerned about this, to be honest with you, because I sort of think that one of the conversations that we've been having in the shop recently is that air guns are starting to get expensive, and actually in some cases too expensive, and the prices are going up. I think too much, to be honest with you. It's a worrying sign. I think 10%. I mean, is it justified? Do you think at the moment?
Well,
10%.
You've got to look at the bigger picture, and you've got to look at the fact that the pound is down against everything. It's almost parity with the US dollar, which doesn't help in buying parts from around the world. Mm-hmm. And most of these guns now are from international trade or international parts, and we're also down against the euro, which is great for selling stuff out of the country. Yeah. Exports have never been higher on air guns, but when you're buying barrels in from Germany and stocks in from Italy and lead in from the Czech Republic and from Germany, and you've got those prices, I think what happens is that people resist price increases initially. So you start to lose, your barrels start to cost a lot more, and you start, we can't put our prices up, we'll absorb it. And then there's a point where you can't absorb it anymore, and the temptation is then to recover all your losses in one leap. The other thing is you don't want to dribble price increases into the industry. It puts you at a disadvantage. You want to try and hold your prices at what their people are used to as long as you possibly can. And then when you do change your price list, you do it definitively, and so that you can hold it for a decent amount of time. That's the only thing I can think of is why it's going into such leaps. Changing of distribution is going to cause a price change, because the new distributor is going to have he's got to invest, he's got to buy all this new product in, he's got to re-advertise, remarket, and he's also got to take up the slack of the last one going. When you change distribution, the old distributor, it usually causes havoc. The old product has to go, you have to cover somebody else's warranties, there's a massive cost in that. And maybe Deben expect to make more money than Rothery's do, who after all had a business with Air Arms for 25 years? Something like that. So
it's just I've noticed that there is much more discussion about this recently over the last couple of months than there has been for a long time. Yeah. And the same thing keeps coming up all the time, which is some air guns are costing too much money. Yeah. And they're going up too quickly. When you look at an S410 now, it's an unregulated PCP and it's £700 plus. Yeah. And then you've got another 10% coming. And all right, you might not be able to say quite the same for the HW100 Virac because it's regulated, but even so, that's going to end up near enough £800. Yeah. I guess it's probably going to help the second-hand market, although the second-hand market is obviously going to go up, to correspond with it. But I think it's going to get to the stage where the second-hand market is definitely going to.
Well, it's a double-edged sword for the importer, isn't it? Because by putting his prices up, he makes the second-hand guns more attractive. Mm-hmm. So therefore, more second-hand HW100s sell than new, because he's made a bigger differential. And that's the price he has to pay for putting his prices up. He probably doesn't see that, but he doesn't understand that, because he doesn't see what's going on in the second-hand market. But it's about 5 to 1. Is that about right? Between second-hand sales and new?
Oh, what you mean as in 5 new to 1 second-hand?
No, I said the other way around.
I was going to say, it's
you see some of the second hand, but in the market behind you, there's people buying and selling amongst club members.
That's right, club members, yeah.
On the free ads, on Gunstar, those places, there's an awful lot.
I mean, we're probably 2 to 1. We sell probably 1 new one, 2 second hand ones.
Yeah.
The ratio has been going up slightly, and I think maybe we'll get to the point where it'll be 3 to 1.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall it probably is about 5 to 1, to be honest with you. Anyway, what do you think, guys? Do you think the prices are justified? Do you when the Air Arms goes up to £800 and the HW100 goes up to £800, is that going to completely put you off? Are you going to start looking at second hand, or does it not bother you? I'd like to hear your comments about what you think about the pricing in the airgun industry. Also, as well, I think it's leaving gaps for people like Kral and stuff like that to come in. We've got one of the best-selling new rifles this year was the little Kral MPO2, and it was 350 quid.
Yeah.
And there seems to be a disproportionate cost difference between a 350 quid Kral, which has got a lovely walnut stock on it, it's got a 400cc bottle, etc. Alright, the build quality might not be quite as good, but you've still got a huge disparity between that and its German stroke UK equivalent. So that's obviously good news for Kral, isn't it?
Yeah, they're building in Eastern Europe, and it's coming across, and it's cheaper labour, cheaper parts, so they have the advantage of that. But you've got to also look at things. I mean, we were doing a bit of a study on the 40th anniversary, and we were looking at the original Day State rifle. So, original Day State Huntsman HH from 1978 cost £250, and if you put that into modern day money, that's £1,350. So, a basic PCP in 1978 cost around 1,300 quid in today's money.
But just being a devil's advocate here, is it not the similar case like, maybe some people remember VHS video recorders when they came out, but when they came out, the average video recorder was £600.
Yes.
And then what's happened over a period of time, they've actually got down to like £20, but they've never gone back. They've never sort of gone back up again, if you know what I mean. And I feel that like pre-charge, when they came out, they were disproportionately expensive. I remember when the Rapid 7 came out, and I remember they rang me up and said, "What do you think of this, Lloyd?" And I said, "Bloody hell, it's 545 quid. We will never sell those."
But that's still probably £1,500, £1,600
It is, but what's happened is that the price of pre-charge generally did start to drop, and now the prices seem to be going the wrong way again. They seem to be going up. Whereas a lot of stuff that comes out, like VHS, I don't know whether you can equate it, but VHS video recorders, 500 quid it came out, 20 quid now. They've never sort of gone down and started to go back. VHS recorders are now not £400 or £500 each, are they?
No.
So I don't know. I know what you're saying. Yeah, the equivalent value when they came out these days is very high. But I still...
Less people shooting now, though, in comparative terms. I mean, when we were talking about some real old BSAs, I remember the Model D.
Oh, the quantity.
The quantities that they would ship out to Empire. They said that we're making less than 30,000 a year. It's not worth making them. 30,000 a year is a massive amount of airguns in today's numbers.
Yeah.
And it's been gradually dwindling in general numbers over the years. And I don't think that's, there's different markets taking them now. The world is taking a lot more airguns.
I was going to say, isn't the US market sort of compensating
the UK market is static or dying.
The UK.
You can't really say, because we don't have any data. Each company has its own data, and they'll all be different. But the UK market is very static. And the shops are, you've got some shops on the up, most shops are on the down, on airgun sales. So it's very static to dropping in the UK. And the demographics getting older year on year. Not like that around the world. The demographics much younger, probably 10, 20 years younger around the world on airguns. And sales are going up and up and up and up. And so it's just, when there's stuff being imported, we're getting the bottom end of the stick, aren't we?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's a big change in comparison with what it was like sort of 20 years ago.
Yes, that's right. When it was it's still a very important market for manufacturers. It's just not as important as it once was.
Right. Got you. Well, there you go. That's
our discussion.
That's the sad news over with. So what we were saying is that even though there's probably slightly less UK manufacturers now, although there's still got some very important ones. We've got Air Arms and Brocock and BSA, etc. There's still a lot of really interesting artisan manufacturers of great products, and I actually got a gentleman bring some silencers in, which were really cool. So we're going to talk about these silencers now, which are made in the UK. This is made by a company called Liquid Carbon.
Wow.
And why am I showing them to you? Because actually, I sort of think there is a market for there's a place in the market for a silencer that's looks pretty,
yes,
and works really well,
right,
and at a reasonable price.
That's the
that
three.
Isn't a Virac.
Yes,
because
this is it, isn't it? I mean, silencers live and die on how quiet they are.
Yeah,
because you can't fool the market if it sounds noisy.
Can't fool people's ears.
No, they will go, oh, it's noisy. And the Virac is an interesting thing. The Virac silencer started off as a muzzle weight. Do you remember?
Yep.
And somebody at Hull Cartridge said, because they're from Hull, we need a silencer.
Oh, yeah. You're going to get so much shit for this.
So Chris will be on the phone from Hull Cartridge.
Good.
What are you saying about my accent? But somebody at Hull Cartridge, before Chris started, saying that we needed a silencer. Now Daystate had just spent about 6 months developing a silencer with sintered plastic. You pass nitrogen through plastic and you form bubbles, and you could tailor it so you could have big bubbles, little bubbles, bubbles on request. And then you machine it and you have an insert. We spent months working on this, and we launched the Mark III Airstream silencer, and 2 weeks later the Virac brought their silencer out and killed us flat. Why? Because it was cheaper and it was quieter.
Yeah.
And when you took the Virac apart, it was filled with pink Carmen hair curlers and a J cloth.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was cheaper and it was quieter.
Yeah.
And it sold well, and we were dead in the water with all our technology.
To this day, the Virac silencer is still our biggest selling silencer.
Yes, they have changed the curler colour to grey.
Yep, that made all the difference.
But it's amazing that you can lateral thinking, sideways thinking, like how can we do this? And very clever. I don't think they expected the success that they got.
No,
but they must have made a fortune.
Yeah,
absolute fortune on those silencers. So it's up to, of course the other thing is, of course it's airgun only, because if you put it on a firearm, your hair curler bursts into flame. So you can sell it in the US as a airgun only silencer, and it's also quite useful for the home market. So there you go, airgun only.
Well, basically the guy from Liquid Carbon came in and they're producing a lovely range of silencers, carbon fibre, 3D printed inside, which is good. But evidently, it's not as simple. I didn't realise. When I talked to the guy for quite a while, everything seems simple until you go into it.
Yeah.
And he was actually explaining about how he's made the 3D printing and the materials he's got to add to it to absorb the frequencies.
Yeah, you
and
put
also
3D printing on a firearm rated airgun, it'll blow to pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to design it in a way.
I think he's added some magic fairy dust to it that evidently makes it work really well.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I was like, well, go on then, prove it. And so the proof was in the pudding, so we got some guns out. And the reason I'm showing you actually because these are just more than, there's obviously just a 1/2 inch UNF carbon fibre silencer available in all multicolours and all that sort of stuff, so you can have, in fact it actually does red carbon and silver carbon, which looks quite nice actually. It's different. That look quite nice on there as well. Different coloured anodised end caps. I think he might Cerakote them. That's going to be about £45 or £49, which is about the same price as the Virac, but it's lovely. And they do a little mini one which looks a bit like a Hugget Belita. Carbon fibre again. That's going to sell. I think that's going to sell about £39.95. So. Nice price. What was interesting for me is because we import the Airgun Leshes, and the Airgun Leshes got a little, everybody's seen the Leshy, I'm sure of it now because we had it on one of the videos, didn't we?
Yes. We did.
The silencer's not great, but he's just made this like silencer insert, and we put that in a Leshy, and it was dramatically better. So we're going to be selling those. That's the Leshy insert, and the nice thing is it's not just going to be for Black Bull air rifles. It's hopefully going to, you know, we're encouraging the guy to get out there and go to other gun shops because we think that this product is great and he'll do really well with it.
Yeah.
So he's actually gonna go and set up different shops to sell these. So it's not just going to be come to Blackpool Rifle, it's going to come to go to your local dealer as usual, and you'll have these. What I also found was interesting as well is that is a Huggit insert.
Right.
Now, some people would say that the Huggit is the quietest silencer in the world. It's not. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Huggits are fantastic. They are. I mean, they're beautifully made. They fit. They work. They look gorgeous. But as for the silencing, they're not bad. But they're
not up there, are they?
They're not.
Well, you've got vents in them, haven't you? So that's the first thing. They've got the noise to escape through the vents.
Yeah. So he's made that, and again, I was like completely. I mean, look at it. Yeah. I just thought that's not going to work at all. It was amazing. Yeah. That really does work. So and it's going to be reasonably cheap. I think that's going to sell for well under 20 quid. That. So if you got a Huggit, that's for the Belita, isn't it? If you got a Huggit Belita and you wanted to really improve the silencing, we're going to be selling those, and you'll be able to get them from your local dealer as well, which I think is really nice. Definitely. But this guy's like local. He's Preston. Right. And we really want to encourage these like little guys to get on the machines.
So there's a nice link to what on earth are these?
Well, yeah, no. Again, I like.
Want to go close up on them?
Yeah, we should do definitely. Well, actually, we'll get some close ups afterwards and put them in. But again, local customer to me. Always like to support the customers if they're making something. I'm always interested in hearing what they're up to with their air rifles, how they're modifying it. And he sort of mentioned that he made a custom bolt with a skull on it. I think they're absolutely fantastic.
Looking at it, it seems to be a standard BSA bolt, air arms bolt.
Yep.
Where he's brazed on this cap.
Well, the standard air arms bolt is alloy, isn't it? Whereas this is steel.
Yeah, it's plated.
And it looks really nice quality.
Right.
But like I say, local customer, and he brought one of those in, which was a skull one. And I thought, do you know what? Some people are going to absolutely love those. So we put them on the Facebook page, and everybody was like, "Wow, that's fantastic!" There you go. That'd just make it. That would make. I quite like. They do it. He does a dragon one,
and I think
the dragon one is absolutely fantastic. Yeah. But main thing is, again, we'll be the first people that will stock these. But I'm hoping he's going to get out there and make more and sell
different types.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but the really cool thing is that. That's going to be 25 quid retail, the skull one, which I think is a great price. Yeah. And these two here, especially the dragon one's fantastic. That's going to be 30 quid, which, to be honest with you, 30 quid really for that is, I think that's a lovely piece of kit. The gentleman's name is called Stomper. Polish customer of mine, lovely bloke, and he's actually enjoying making these as well. So it's been really nice seeing his face light up when he's realised that people like that sort of stuff, you know. So well done, Stomper. We're going to be stocking these, like I said, they'll be in stock.
Stomping good products.
Actually, yeah. That's actually. Do you know what? As well, I forgot about it. One of the reasons I mentioned about these silencers.
Yeah.
Is because I asked him for a name. I said, "What awesomely cool name have you got for these silencers?" And he went Mark 7.
Oh,
I sort of thought, "Oh, that's a bit dull, isn't it, really?" Yeah. And I said, "Well, like, why don't you name them? You know, something really sort of interesting, cool." And when we talked in the shop, we talked about the black hole silencer. Do you remember that from years ago?
Yeah.
I don't know whether anybody remembers the black hole silencer. It was a completely shit silencer, but it had a really cool name.
Yeah.
You know, because nothing escaped it.
BSA did a SAS silencer.
SAS silencer as well. Yeah, that was quite good. But I do like the black. I think was it Whisperer did the black hole silencer. It was a plastic silencer and it was crap because when you fired it, it never lined up properly, so it always used to rip the front off. Yeah. So it wasn't really a black hole at all. But I thought that was quite a cool name. So what we want to do, and actually we're going to give away this silencer for the best name for this silencer. So we want something like...
Yeah, so suggest below
just put your suggestions in and we'll send you this like absolutely fantastic silencer that you can then test yourself, and we want to hear back from you as to what you think and if there's any improvements, etc. But cool name, please. like the black hole, but we can't use the black hole. So it's got something along the. I like the idea of something scientific or astronomical.
Oh right, okay.
You know, so I don't know whether we can somebody can come up with that. But if
you
you've got
like a vortex because it's been done.
Vortex has been, I tell you what, the rule is as well. It can't be something that's been used before.
Yeah,
that's sort of pretty obvious in it, but I thought I'd better say it otherwise. But come up with a cool name for that, please. And if you do, then obviously we're going to want a cool name for the Leshy one. We're going to need a cool name for the Hug It one.
Oh, massive giveaway.
Let's start. Sorry, my wallet can't afford it all at once. So let's just go for that one. So an interesting name, please, for that silencer.
There's a show T-File.
Right, there you go. Right. Okay, so that's the silencers. That's the. Actually, Stomper needs to come up with a cool name for his bolts as well. So there you go. If anybody else has got.
Right, what else we got, Lloyd? I see some old guns here. The old gun brigade.
A couple of episodes ago, we were. I can't remember what we were doing about Webley Mk2.
We did the Mk2, and that's right. I couldn't get hold of an airsporter, and I asked to borrow an airsporter, and Ian Jones said he was going to.
Ian Jones again. That name. One day he'll appear on the show.
Infamous name from the.
So actually, I tell you what.
Yeah, let's put it on.
Because I was told off last time for banging the guns on the because we didn't have anything to protect the guns on the table.
We have now.
So we have now. Thank you very much. I can't remember who said that, but yeah, you were right. So we've got. I got an Airsporter Mark 1 off Ian, and what an example of an Airsporter Mark 1. I think that's
pretty neat, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm hoping it's all standard, because last time we had a gun on that we thought was like completely standard, it turned out it had been a fantastic refurbishment.
Yes, it was a refurbishment, and we had some comments about that.
Yeah, we did, which was fine. I mean, we took it on the chin because it was such a good refurbishment.
I didn't notice halfway through.
You did. I must admit, I wasn't quite on the ball with that.
It was a bit wrong. It had an oiled stock rather than a varnished stock. This one looks to me like it's
standard.
Bog standard, because I don't know how you get away with it.
Yeah,
I'm going to do that on camera, so we can maybe do a close up on
that. People will think that's like some sort of magic.
Watch this magic. Look at that.
That's fantastic. Yeah. It's such a little thing, though. Yeah. Obviously, we're easily amused.
We are. I was amused at the time. I wanted one of these, and by the time I was in the market for one, they discontinued the feature because it used to wear, and they used to stop doing it. But this one does it. So
it's lovely. So I don't. If anybody's not familiar with like why we're like all excited, is because the tap pops up when you cock it, which seems such a simple little thing, and they got rid of the feature, and I sort of think that.
Yeah, it was never the same thereafter. Trigger. This one's actually quite nice, from what I can tell. They were usually worse than the other manufacturers. The triggers on BSAs, they were a bit on and off, weren't they?
A bit heavy.
Yeah.
And the adjustment never really did a great job. I mean, we used to adjust these triggers, and it was like, it seems the same.
Yeah, it works or it doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
Really, that's your adjustment. But they did have the underlever built into the forend, which was a major selling feature at the time. It was something that everybody used to talk about. Oh, I've got a BSA Airsporter. Did you know it has the underlever built into the forend? Yes, I've noticed. And it's right there. Nice little flip up sights. Obviously stolen from some BSA 2.2 rifle they were making at the time.
Yeah. I think this one was. We've only got this dated to in between September 59 to December 65. That's quite a gap.
Good enough, yeah.
But
notice the little really wide dovetails here that need special mounts that nobody can get.
Would that not be a
18mm or something like that?
Would that not be a Mark II?
It's a Mark II because it's got the auto tap and it's got the.
Well, the auto tap was on the Mark 1 as well, wasn't it? That's what I didn't look at it carefully enough because that's been in a bag for a week or so.
Right. Okay.
Oiled. Yes. By the way, like, looked after and everything, but it's been in a bag for a week or so.
Beautiful condition.
And there is something about that rifle. It's absolutely.
So the butt is attached to the front end.
I don't know whether anybody knows this, but they basically were a 3-piece stock. So you've got the back piece, and if you can see, hopefully you'll be able to see it on there. But that piece there is separate. So you've got 1, 2, 3 pieces. So it's a 3-piece stock, which is and beautifully done, to be honest with you.
Lovely, right?
You've got the original logo on the top, the Airsporter logo. They weren't full power. I mean, what, 10 foot-pounds?
10 foot-pounds. I think they just about hit 10 foot-pounds.
Yeah, but just a beautiful bit of kit. Value nowadays. I mean, something.
There's a tail on these at when they were bringing in the 12 foot-pound law, which was after all 1969. It was the law was kind of brought in by somebody shooting at cars on the Hammersmith flyover with a Crossman or a Benjamin. And the UK consortium who were sort of defending it said we'll have 10 foot-pounds because that's about the maximum an airsporter will reach.
Yeah.
So that's why it was 10 foot-pounds.
Proposed that, yeah.
And somehow, somewhere in the legislation, it went to 12. And the people I've spoken to about it said, yeah, it was supposed to be 10, but they went to 12 to give a fudge factor. So the intent was that the guns would be no more than 10 foot-pounds, but 12 would be your absolute maximum for legal reasons. Of course, now everybody goes straight to
12, yeah.
And that's what it was. But there was supposed to be 10 with a 2 foot-pound margin for error.
Right.
But then we didn't have electronic chronographs like we have in every pocket now.
No, we had the good old yellow pages in those days.
That's right, yes.
Yeah. Value-wise, I'd say probably something in that condition that's going to be worth like 300.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's good.
Do you think that's a lot?
I don't know. I think in that you don't see them in this condition. That's the thing. Yeah.
An average one is usually a lot rougher than this, and is really going to be valued around about the £200 mark. Obviously, it depends. Down south, it's probably worth like quite a bit more, to be honest with you. Like us northern cousins, like 200 quid's quite a lot of money. But yeah, 200 quid for a rough one. In the north of England, 300 quid for a decent one. Probably even more, to be honest with you, now. The
collector's market, this is a sort of a classic gun that you would go looking for, isn't it? In the second-hand market, £150. In the collector's market, 350, 400, something like that.
There's definitely getting less of them about in that sort of condition. And I must admit, we're only getting a few every year now that are near approaching that.
Yeah.
And
they're usually claps, aren't they, by now?
Yeah, everything's worn and the taps are normally leaking and there was an issue with the trigger unit stopping working after a bit as well, and I think it was people used to put ox mainsprings in them and then used to stretch and it was a nightmare. But like absolutely fantastic. Just a beautiful rifle.
Yeah, very nice.
They did make them prettier, didn't they?
They did. They were very well made.
So anyway, that's Airsporter Mk2.
So that covers our classic set, doesn't it?
Well, sort of, because we've got something else interesting that I don't even know anything about. And I bet you don't either.
No, I don't either. So there we are. We're going to do well on this one, aren't we? Tell us a bit about this, Lloyd.
Okay. This is another one from Ian Jones's collection. Thank you, Ian, again. It's come from the Wallace & Wallace auction.
Yeah.
And originally, I think it was in the Webley Museum.
Right.
And I think you know a little bit about the Webley Museum, don't you?
Just around the time that Webley went bump for the second time, they went bump properly this time, and there was liquidators involved, and they were splitting the company up. Webley was being sold, Webley International was being retained, or the other way around, I can't remember. But they had a gun room full of rifles that they used to show and collection rifles, and it was basically stuff which had been prototypes or hadn't sold, or some new, some old. And they put this up for auction, and I remember my friend Nigel Allen got asked to make a catalogue. So he produced a proper catalogue for an auction company, and they put all this stuff in there, and it was all sorts of bits and pieces. I remember the joke was that the guy Tony Hall was the foreman there, and as he was leaving the last day, he said, "Give us your coat. We need that for the auction." So they took his foreman's coat off him, and they put that in the auction. And it raised something like £90,000. So it was incredibly well supported. They got a lot of money back for their creditors. And this is obviously one of the rifles which was in that auction.
Well, this is really what piqued my interest is it looks a bit like a standard Webley Omega, and for people that don't know much about the Omega, because it was really it was really quite a short success model. In other words, it came out, it did really well for a couple of years, and it just died a complete death.
Yeah.
The thing about the Omega, it was really designed to counteract the sort of onslaught of the Virax, sort of the HW80, the 35, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Webley wanted a premium brake barrel, and they also did an underlever version. Remember the Eclipse?
Yes.
Which was alloy chambered. Anyway, the Omega was interesting because it was a full power brake barrel rifle. It had some nice features on it. It had the automatic safety catch, which you can easily put back on again.
Yeah. Which came from the Eclipse, because that was the first one to launch that, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah. And to be honest with you, something that I think Virac might be jealous of these days. That's a better safety catch.
It's never been better.
No, it's not. No. Also, as well, maybe less popular was the barrel lock. Now this one had a barrel lock release. As you can see there, you pull that forward. I'll just do it with my other thumb. So you pull that forward and that will release the barrel. I would say that, for example, the Virax didn't really need it, to be honest with you, but this method was nice because it was very positive, but there was a disadvantage with it, and that is when you cocked it with your thumb, if you didn't remove your thumb, sometimes it would catch. And you'd literally crush your thumb between the stock and the lever. So that was just a case of
no pain, no gain. You know, and the other thing is, of course, it locks it up for your swivels, isn't it? So you're carrying it on your shoulder, and you're not going to.
So if you've got a sling on, you're basically your barrel's not going to release all the time, which is nice.
But I'm not going to duplicate losing my thumb, but you can see it. You can get your hand out of the way quite quickly.
But what I've not mentioned that's interesting, I don't know whether when you cock it, can you feel something sort of strange?
There's no spring twang in this one.
That's because there's no spring in it.
I forgot to put one in, have they?
No. It's actually it's a gas ram system. Now, I don't know whether Webley were obviously, BSA messed with the gas ram system, didn't they? They put a gas ram in the Superstar.
Well, this is going to be around about 1985, 86, and I imagine the gas ram was still under patent at that point because it was a Theoben patent.
Yep.
So maybe they couldn't release it and they were just playing when the patent
I don't know the story behind it. I don't know whether they made the gas ram and so maybe when it came out of patent they would release this, or maybe they were working with Theoben, maybe they
license it, like Anschutz did, because Anschutz certainly, and Viroc with the 90, they licensed the Theoben gas ram for that gun.
That's right, yeah. No, so it's really unusual, and I remember at the time BSA also did a Superstar with a gas ram, but the gas ram on the Superstar was interesting. They were working with Theoben, but they actually made it adjustable power, so they had the little the valve in the back, so you could. And I don't know whether anybody knows, but like the gas rams that are available now that you use to convert your air rifles, they're sealed. So in other words, you put them in and they do sort of 11.5 foot-pounds, and that's it. You can't modify them in any way. Whereas some of the gas rams on the Theobens themselves, they had a little valve in the back, and unusually when BSA brought their Superstar out with the gas ram, that had a valve on it. This one doesn't, so I'm guessing that this is probably a sealed ram.
Yeah. Or an early prototype where they didn't feel they needed to. Yeah.
Possibly to adjust the power.
But you said there's no markings on this whatsoever.
No, there's not. No, I spoke to Ian about it, and Ian is a font of all knowledge on old stuff, and he didn't really know an awful lot about it.
Right. Well,
be interesting. I don't know whether there's anybody watching this program that sort of had any connections to Webley or for some reason knows about this rifle, but it'd be nice to sort of get a little bit more history about it. So if anybody knows what's going on with this gun, pipe up and let us know. But that's a Webley, and actually the Webley Omega, it was a fantastic air rifle. It shot really well. I guess it didn't sell because maybe the sales, it did seem to drop off. And I don't know why.
This one's beautifully finished. I don't remember them being this nice. I seem to remember them being an awful lot rougher than this.
Actually, no. Yeah. The quality of the bluing was actually quite good on the Omegas. Right. But maybe sometimes guns can fail for other reasons. Yes. You know, they maybe didn't put enough into advertising. And if they were going through that period in the time where they were going bankrupt,
they were in trouble. And I remember when the Eclipse came out, I know more about the Eclipse than this. And the Eclipse came out, and it was a year from their first adverts to the first guns going in the shop. Now, that is not a clever way to market anything. So by the time you've got the people are interested, they go in the shop to buy it. They can't buy it. 1 year later, it was available. So maybe this came under the same brush.
But anyway, that's a Webley Omega prototype from the Wallace & Wallace auction. I think it's really interesting to see. So thanks Ian for letting us bring this onto the show. So that's really cool. Yeah. I have got another rifle, but I think it's such a special rifle. I think I don't know whether we should do it. Should we do it?
Should we have a break and then come back and do it?
Have we done enough for a break? Yeah. All right. Well, we'll do that because we've actually got the next episode will feature the Sportsmax GC2, which was just and I know we keep saying, oh, that was a classic rifle. We've said that with the Daystate FTR. We said it with the Shamal, but I mean the GC2 was just.
Okay. We'll see you in a bit. So, we're back with the GC2.
Hi, I'm Steve from the British Shooting Show. Come and see us in February next year, 2019. We'll have wider aisles, more space, and a bigger and better show. Thank you.